Welcome everybody to Reboot It presents movie mashup. I'm Billy Business. Up top we have Ron Swallow, and over here we have Ed Greer. Producer Bill is out doing some really cool shit that he can't wait for you guys to see. But in the meantime, we're gonna play a little game. We're gonna take some franchises. We're gonna take some crazy genres. We're gonna grab bag it, mash it up, improv it. We're gonna come up with the best possible version of the movie that we absolutely have no control over making. Ron, are you up for the challenge?
I can't tell you how super up for the challenge I am. Of the people who love genre mashups, you could see behind me. There are many books, and many of them are super mashed up. We got fantasy with mystery. We've got sci-fi with children's stories. I'm into it. Let's do it.
Ed, I can't guarantee there won't be any magic in this show. It could potentially happen. Are you ready for that?
You know, it's a necessary evil in this business. I feel like magic and nonsense is like dust in a cowboy picture when it comes to doing this stuff. So I am fine with it. I think this project, I just want to enter with a spirit of fun because honestly, we have no control over this. This isn't one entity messing us up on some plot we're trying to create. This is like, make this movie now with no tools. This is the MacGyver show. So like, I'm really happy to participate in such an improv challenge.
Yeah, look, man, I'm going to take some chewing gum and a paper clip and I'm going to blow your butthole up. Let's do this.
Wow. Definitely don't think we can deliver on butthole blowing, but what I can say, this is not exactly like Reboot It. If you're a Reboot It fan, you're coming here, you're going to get like Reboot It, the home game version. This is quick, this is down, this is dirty. There's no well, the studio contracts, no. Throw it all out the window. The points don't matter here. This is all for fun. Here's how it's going to work. We have a list of franchises. We have a list of genres. We will randomly pick one franchise, one genre, and we will have 30 minutes to try to make whatever the hell we can make with what we were given. Gentlemen, are you ready? Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's select the franchise that we will be doing today. Will be generating Back to the Future.
Oh,
we'll be doing Back to the Future. We will pick a genre now. Back to the Future as a period piece drama. This almost seems like it's too easy. A period piece drama. We're talking The English Patient. We're talking some of those older kind of like costumed period piece dramas. Note it says drama, not comedy. This is a period piece drama for Back to the Future. We have 30 seconds on the clock. I'm going to start it. There we go. 30 minutes, I should say, has started right now.
Okay, I think we got to determine what time period they go back to in the past from the past. You dig what I'm saying? Like if it's like an 18th century drawing room drama, or H.G. Wells type world where they kind of buttoned up, what past do they go to? Dinosaurs, I don't know.
See, when I'm thinking like
tribal
drama,
times,
if you're taking the comedy out of it, then I feel like we have to, like, dinosaurs. It just inherently is funny. Humans and dinosaurs, they don't go together. I'm thinking we go to like World War I or something, like Gallipoli, like some like epic, war historical drama with Martin McFly, perhaps.
And is he actually going to be thrust into the future?
I mean, here's the thing. It's a game, so we are totally up for interpretation. I mean, we could make it that Back to the Future. It doesn't necessarily have to be a DeLorean. It could just be, I don't know, a candle.
Yeah, it could literally be anything that sends them into the future, a time machine of some type, because it's a period piece. Now, let's discuss this. I don't want to go off the track too much, but a period piece. what does that mean? In my mind, that always means like I see, like Ed mentioned, buttoned up,
Like
fancy
Victorian. Yeah, I
Victorian
mean,
era
I
stuff.
think
That's what.
whatever Keira Knightley would star in, that's probably
Okay, okay.
I don't know if I've ever seen Keira Knightley just in like jeans and a t-shirt. It has always been like some old school.
Maybe this is too funny, but what if they're in Victorian times? And I don't know if you've known, like we always make Victorian times seem great, but like people just shit on the sidewalk and things were disgusting and people were dying all of the time. What if someone was sent to the future for a short period of time, got to see medicine, got to see all the great stuff that exists in the current times, and then they were forced to go back to their old time, and the whole time they're trying to figure out how to get back to the future.
There is something interesting about like,
Yeah.
okay, what if this takes place in the Victorian area? Marty or Martin gets to, like you said, go to, like, Jennifer is really sick. The doctor tells him like, I don't have any medicine here, but I may have something in the future. Through some medieval or whatever Victorian thing, he goes into the future, but he can only go for like 10 minutes. And then he comes back and he's just like, this world sucks. Because if I saw the future and the future was like awesome, and then I came back and I can't even like flip a light switch on, I have to like candles and like no refrigerators and no penicillin, I'd be like, this blows. How depressing would that be? I feel like that would really screw you up, right?
Well, and I
Yeah.
think also it's about maybe in these 10, 20 minute, even 1 day or 2 day increments of this person leaping forward in time, that person has to get it together to like get the penicillin or whatever that his wife or fiance or whatever in the past needs, and it's like a drama and has some sort of not necessarily action, but like got like a thriller vibe almost, because it's like
Yeah.
every time he gets to the future, it's like, okay, fuck, I got these old timey clothes, I gotta explain all this crap. It's like live die repeat, or like whatever tomorrow, whatever, Edge of Tomorrow. It's like Edge of Tomorrow with him jumping into the future, having to like make these tasks up, find a way. Because like if you just were from the 18th century and dropped into America of the future, there wouldn't be all this access to all this future stuff. If you're
Yeah.
poor and you look weird and you're a stranger and you got no ID, how would you get even an aspirin to your woman?
I
What
mean,
would
you'd
you
have to
know?
steal it and
Yeah.
then you'd be arrested,
Hmm.
uh, which would be interesting. I also like the idea of like, he successfully somehow does it once and he goes back, but then he like can't let it, like he saves her life and like that should be it. But like a gambler with an addiction, he can't stop. Like, what else could I do? Because then Back to the Future really takes on a new meaning, because he's always trying to get back to make his life better, as opposed to just living it out the way maybe it was supposed to be, you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
now we need an antagonist. What if the antagonist is someone who, when he gets arrested, they CSI or whoever like looks at the clothing and is like, this is genuinely old clothing. Like this
You know what
isn't manufactured here, and somebody gets wind of it and they're a rich person and they actually want to go in the past and use whatever time traveling thing he has. I don't know, something like that, to because
part of me thinks like, could you do like the same vibe and the same kind of structure and style as like Uncut Gems, where like Adam Sandler is kind of his own antagonist? Like he
okay,
kind of
okay,
like, sure, there are like true people that obstacles in his way, but at the end of the day, it's like
it's always
everything that
himself.
befalls him is always his own problem. Like I almost feel like
Okay,
you do Back to the Future, like you said, Ed, like almost like a thriller in a sense, where his, I don't know, I'm liking this idea of just like, you know, you're so obsessed with your future that you start to screw up your present, you know?
ooh,
Well, yeah, I think that's
doesn't
the
spend
thing.
any time with his kids.
Well, if he goes back, well, that's the thing. If he goes back, if he goes to the future, and then he starts to see. I don't know. We got to do that whole thing of him being able to see what would happen, what happens to his life as he keeps abusing this time travel. You know what I mean? Like Marty McFly seeing
Right.
his parents and his life disappear and stuff. We got to play that note a little bit, some kind of way. I'm thinking, I don't think it's too cheesy to have an antagonist of sorts, but I don't think they need to understand what's going on. Like maybe the original Doc character who shows Marty McFly the ancient cave where if you light these 3 candles or whatever the hell, this weird ritual happens and you have a weird experience. So the doctor understands it as this can't be time travel. That doesn't make sense. That's a dream state and blah, blah, blah. And then Marty is the one who realizes this dude is a dumbass. He's been using this as like ayahuasca when this is literally a machine to go to the future. And so he gets the vision to do that stuff. And then maybe the doctor catches up and is like, oh my God, that's the future? I could go grab what do they have there? They have a dragon, right? They have dragons or whatever the hell he envisions is going to be in the future. And so
I
he
mean,
could
if he's a doctor, he would want to save lives in theory, right? Maybe he wants all those great medicines.
I'm just
I don't
saying,
know.
just anybody in the story wanting to go on the ride and do stuff, and some of their abuses of it, or them and Marty's abuses of it, start to mess with Marty's life in the 1800s.
You know, I wonder if you could do something, because maybe this just shows what a sick individual I am. If I saw that Marty was becoming obsessed with like going to the future and kind of neglecting his life, like I would just move in on his life now. Like, fine, you keep going to the future. Like, I'll take care of your wife. I'll take care of your house. You know, like
Interesting.
maybe the doc actually becomes like you were kind of posturing as like the quasi like surprise antagonist, because he's like, yeah, well, Marty, while you're off doing this life, your life, like if you keep going to the future to find out why your life sucks on a long enough timeline, you're going to find out it's because you were gone all the time and then I moved in and took all your shit, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a nice direction, bro. That whole thing, because his life is getting, instead of his stuff disappearing in some picture, it's disappearing right there. His wife is disappearing, his kids, you know, stuff like that. And I think, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, I read this like short story or something one time where this guy was like, if you went into the future like 20 or 30 years and you went into your living room and it was decked out with like Chicago Bulls stuff everywhere, and you had never been a basketball fan in your entire life, but you saw your house was decked out in Chicago Bulls stuff, and then you immediately snap back, would you start watching basketball now because you knew like eventually you'd have to get there? Like, I think there's something very interesting about Marty going to the future, getting what he needs, but while he's there, he's like, hey, it's time travel. I can take all the time I want because I'm going to go back, you know, at the right exact time I need to. I'm going to go look myself and see what's going on. It's terrible. And then he becomes obsessed with trying to figure out how his life got off course, but it's his obsession with figuring it out. It's kind of like that weird, you know,
Yeah, it's a circular thing.
Time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That is great. And it's because and then just like you said, the antagonist comes in like, hey, I know you keep doing this, but I'm enjoying you being gone.
But also, like there's something interesting about like that time period too, where if someone was like, what is going on with you? And you're like, there's a cave and I can go forward in time and there's all this stuff, they would think you were sick. Like they would probably, you know, like they would,
or possessed by the devil.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
They may literally think you're like possessed by the devil or a witch.
They might try to like put a hole in your head or something to drain out a spirit.
Seriously.
There's a fun action sequence.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, I think, what if there was some sort of we got to put a situation where he needs to go. Like, I just think it'd be funny if we could explore, instead of that one linear story of the other one, if he could look at timelines, and that's what makes him be so obsessed. Is like, what if one day he like goes to the future, right? And he's kind of got some pretty good experience being in the future. He grabs a hot dog, he pays a whole $1. He doesn't say it's a shilling or something. He's like, that will be $5. and he's just doing it. He's in the future. It's like Staying Alive is playing on the soundtrack or whatever. He's just really walking down the street, knowing what he's doing, dressing like a modern person. But then he does something like get a gun or get something and go back to the future. and then go back to the past, and then he like loses it, or he like uses it or something like that, and then he goes like shit, he gets into trouble because he just shot a handgun in the past when they're not even flintlock rifles or something, and he's like shit, and he runs back to the time cave and he goes to the future, and it's desolate because that gun changed the entire history of the world, and we got to World War III in like 1911. So he goes there and he sees actual ruins and shit. He's like, ah! So he has to go like fix something like that. And then like I just want to throw some weird
like
gags in there.
I like the idea that he loses it because then he doesn't know where to even start looking to try to figure out, especially if he's been out and about, you know?
And then he's got to do research to find out what history, like a history research on where the first the gun came from, and it's in the ruins of some library that's been basically destroyed.
And it's like from the future. It's like the guns were worshipped as like a futuristic thing that came from aliens or something, because these materials don't even like, it's a plastic Glock that is delivered to the 1800s. Like they can't even figure out how this was even made. So it's like how people fantasize about the pyramids. It couldn't possibly be made in this time, and it becomes deified in a way, and maybe war is even more deified in that world. And we get even more militaristic because like aliens conferred upon us the power of the Glock or whatever. And we're crazy people for a timeline.
And you know what? It's going to be called Back to the Future: The Power of the Glock.
That's the power of Glock.
Just riding a skateboard.
Don't take money.
2 guns in his hand.
Don't take brains. Yeah.
I definitely think, you know, when I think of like a historical period piece drama, there's always also some like, you know, romantic melodrama also. I feel like we would be doing a disservice to the story if we didn't try to figure out how Jennifer maybe can take an active part of the story. Also, we are down to 16 minutes on the clock, a little less than halfway through. So I think we're in good shape. So can we find something for Jennifer to do other than get sick in the first act and then get miraculously better?
You know what? Okay, how about this? How about I'll throw the first bomb of this session into there. What if it's not Doc, it's his woman? He goes to the future, saves his girlfriend, and then wants to maybe share that with her. And when she starts going to the future by herself, she starts getting addicted herself. And it's really a couple dealing with this technology as sort of adversaries and trying to figure out how to go back to the past, live their lives how they're supposed to, and ensure the future of humanity, rather than each of them doing a dueling banjos thing through history, changing stuff for their own benefit. And also losing your woman to a future dude with more game and more muscles. They didn't even know how to work out till like 1910. So like some future Malibu Ken trying to mac up on your girl, and you're some pasty English fellow. You know, oh man, that's pretty rough.
And on theme, like you could also be sort of talking about addiction and 2 couples who are both addicts trying to not be addicts anymore and trying to like get out of that together somehow. That'd actually be pretty good.
No, I mean, there's inherent drama with time travel, just especially if you go forward and then come back, because it's like, you know, in your mind, there's no consequences. There's no downside to it. So yeah, if you have them, maybe they're having relationship issues or something, you know, I'm just trying to tie it together thematically, because there is something interesting about, you know, like essentially this is a story about the grass is greener, you know, and how
he's cured his syphilis and now his dick works again, but it doesn't work as good as it used to. So they got to get these little blue pills. Okay. Maybe
no. Plan B. Plan B in the 1800s is crazy. I love it.
Yeah, like so,
like
dude, the antagonist.
Do you know how many people would have used that though? Like,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like there are things that we take for granted now that are just so freaking like blasphemous back then that it's like, even if you thought you were solving your problem, if you ever got caught with it or had to explain what it is, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, they would think Marty was crazy, or like you said, like was a demon, or you know, like I really like that aspect of at some point they get caught, or you know, something happens
and the town wants to kill both of them,
right?
as a
Well,
witch and a warlock couple.
well, dude, what if we had a small period where like the town goes, maybe 2 or 3 members of the town stumble into the future with them, and it's like, oh man, this is messed up. So they got to nurse these 3 idiots who are just like, what? Oh. They're so well versed in being in the future. They're just like, man, act cool, Jebediah, man. You're messing it up for everybody. You know, we're gonna be here for 2 hours, and then we're gonna go whatever the rules are. You know, we have to tough it out here in the future for a while, and we'll go back and it'll be fine. And then messes something up. But maybe that's towards the very, very end. And then what do they got to do? Dynamite the cave? They figure out how to use dynamite?
No, here's what I think happens. I think they realize at some point, like, we've messed up. We have to destroy. Like this. There's a machine in this cave. We have to destroy it. They try to blow it up. Nothing happens. But then a lightning bolt hits the cave, hits the machine. It destroys the machine, but they are stuck here now. They are stuck in the present day, and they cannot go back to their old lives. Because I love to end shit on a downer.
But that's a downer, and it's not a downer because they have to learn.
Right, it depends on
enjoy the lives they have.
Right, because they couldn't do it in the past, and now they're going to have to do it here. Again, the grass is greener thing. Now they want to get home and they can't,
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
They have to sacrifice their lives back there I don't know, man. A part of me goes, sacrifice what though? Like you're in the past and you suck, and if they're good at being in the future,
I think that's the
almost
point.
Be a
I think they
boon,
didn't suck. I think if they sucked, this would be a different story. But I think they were good, but they wanted more. They got greedy from the future, or they got greedy trying to change things too much in their favor. So they had a good life. They just wanted a better one, and now they're stuck in
okay, maybe just one last tweak. Maybe they're almost royalty, or they're duchesses or something in that time. So you're like you're basically sub royalty. You can see where royalty is. You can see their chamber pots are slightly better than yours, but you have a chamber pot at least. There's people on the street crapping in the streets, like Ron said. But so you're just close enough to being rich to be real envious of stuff, and then your wife gets sick or whatever, and you're just like, man, what's the use of being rich? And then you got enough money to pay a local apothecary to tell you about a special cave. You go down there, this happens, and then you get to a future where everybody is billion times as rich as you or any king, but you are not acknowledged as better than other people. So if you end up there at the end and they have to actually work for a living, that is its own cross to bear. Like them having to not only,
which is great. Dude, you know what we're essentially telling in a weird way? The Meghan Markle story.
Oh my God.
Like we're kind of telling that story, which is really interesting because now that they're like, okay, you're kicked out of the royal family, like go live this like normal life you wanted. I love that addition of they are privileged, but their privilege doesn't get them things that are impossible. But when they figure out they can get impossible things, great. But now you're not privileged anymore. Like the trade-off, That's a cool story, dude. That's a really cool story. Is like this like Duke and Duchess who are now just working at like a diner,
Yeah, and at the end and at the end they're like, another part of the emotional journey would be like if they were sort of put together as a couple and that sort of arranged marriagey sort of stuff, they like have to like learn to love each other and learn to like get along because they are each other's support system in this strange land, and they finally like find love. You know what I mean? At the end, I mean, their life is messed up, and they're starting from the bottom at 7-Eleven, and he's a garbage man or something. But they're like ironically discovering that they're happier than they were before because they're just like they concentrate on their relationship without all this rich stuff and all this. You know what I mean? At the end, there's a hint of that. Maybe not. It's like the music swells and they kiss each other in his garbage uniform and her 7-Eleven uniform. That doesn't have to be the ending, but like there's a hint that they could actually find happiness here. They just will never be king and queen. of
Right,
anything
never. Right.
of anything other than their own minds and their own, and then maybe there's a lesson
So
in
then they
that.
get
It's like, you know,
so they actually get stuck in the future.
Yes.
yeah,
I like
I
it.
think yeah, them getting stuck in the future so they can't go back to their just having people bathe them and put their clothes on type jazz. I think
And we
that makes
open
it a
up
little
on that.
yeah, I think that makes it a little penance, you
We
know.
open up the movie on them literally being dressed by their like the couple of servants they have, and maybe they're even complaining a little bit about how they don't have as many servants as the people across the way, or they don't have as many fineries. I wish I had a little more jewelry, so we fit in a little better at court or whatever.
Well, there's nothing
And
better than that scene where she's very sick and he's just like, I have all the money in the world. Get me better doctors. And they're like, you need a miracle. You need God. But really,
yeah,
the miracle is like some antibiotic that, we buy for, $20 here in America today.
Yeah.
All right. So we have less than 10 minutes on the clock. We have managed to kind of fit in the Doc Brown, the Marty, the Jennifer. There's one character. Is it possible that we can find a spot, and maybe it doesn't have to be a prominent spot, but is there a spot for Biff Tannen?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Like, if the wife isn't basically Biff, because again, like I think them dueling banjos in the future and like kind of betraying each other in the future could be that extra element of like it isn't just that they're doing stuff behind each other's backs. It's like they're doing some real dangerous liaisons. Just think of they're 1800s people, they're Barry Lyndon people, whatever ages those are. I'm sorry, I'm not a history buff in that manner, but like the time when we barely had flintlock rifles and walked in a straight line towards another straight line, and that was war. That time, that whole period is what we're talking about. Philly pirate shirts and dudes wearing makeup and wearing wigs full of mites. That era, however long or whatever.
well,
So people who live in that.
what if the Biff is a lady who's trying to get with the Duke or whatever this guy is, and get
But see,
him
that's
to?
what I'm saying. Just making it be a little bit more insular. Like if we have the doctor
Oh,
who knows, if we have the doctor who thinks that it's ayahuasca, we have the guy who discovers his time travel. We have his wife who behind his back starts to discover time travel and understand the whole jazz. And then the wife and the husband plan shenanigans on each other through the time stream because they're kind of like mad cheating on each other, making whole realities where they have the first bar of they finally take an old antique from that time that's new to them to the future and sell it for like $67,000 on Antique Roadshow. They get to maybe that level. I want to do maybe a little bit of this Groundhog Day with it. Like if it's like dueling banjos through history, she could be the antagonist because she's messing up his work with her crap or whatever. But again, like a townsperson that
and then
discovers,
he's the
or the
antagonist
doctor.
as well because he's doing it back to her.
I'm saying the lady, a townsperson, or the doctor. That's our choices with 8 minutes left, basically. You know what I'm saying? So like, what is more interesting for the story? What's more like, I don't want to say realistic because this is Groundhog Day in the future or whatever. Edge of Tomorrow meets Back to the
Well,
Future.
that's why I thought.
In my mind, I just thought of it as I don't know why I went there, but the Pirates of the Caribbean. There was that captain that Keira Knightley was supposed to marry, and he was kind of a dickhead. Like I wonder if it's just as simple as just like he's captain of the Royal Army and he's a creeping on her or something. I don't know. Like,
well,
again,
like a
it may not
general.
just fit.
Well, like yeah,
It
an
does.
old timey general finding the military application. You know what I mean? We could play that role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a general. He's like he got a new flintlock pistol. He's like, look at this. This is the best in technology. And he wants to have an affair with the lady or whatever. And then he like follows her one night. Back in the day, stalking was just as good as macking. So he follows her late one night when she goes to this cave or whatever, and goes to the future. He's like, what the hell? And he goes to the future and he's like. Oh yeah! Look at all these guns! Look at all this awesome stuff! And then maybe that's where we can get the Glock storyline to get the power of Glock.
And here's the best part about that. The best part about that is that then that's why they team up together and come together to stop that guy, and that's why they end up stuck in the future as well. Because
they have to
sacrifice.
to stop
they
him.
have to sacrifice that to make sure that there's actually a future. Because if this guy gets this stuff, he's going to literally start war that destroys everything way earlier than it should, because that technology is not meant for people at that point or whatever.
So are we all on the same page that Jennifer, I think, has to be played by Keira Knightley? Like, is it even a period piece if she's not in it?
Yeah, no, Keira Knightley's clearly Jennifer, for sure. For sure.
Just by default, she already has the costume.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even need to you save money right there. You know?
And look, guys, we're not always going to do cast, but when cast is perfect, we'll throw in a cast. And Keira Knightley.
Cast. I'm convinced that Keira
perfect.
Knightley does have a time machine, and she just wears her normal clothes for most of those movies.
Well, dude, I can't imagine a 1700s, 1800 woman being as thin as her without having like a disease. You know what I mean? It's like, geez Louise, but it's
it's a Hollywoodized version of
Yeah.
what it would look like.
Can you imagine eating food back in that time and then coming forward and eating food here?
Do you know how badly you would shit your pants if you ate food from here?
Oh, that's true too.
Then, the first
you had Burger King
would be so full of preservatives and artificial things, you would like instantly crap your pants, which I think should be in the movie.
Oh yeah, no, yes, stuff like that has got to be in the movie, dude. And just like,
no, I've crapped my trousers.
I've soiled myself.
and one last thing, I think, man, we said it was a drama. I'm just gonna say it, man. They have to kill this guy. This general guy who's gonna like do all the stuff, they're gonna, in an action way, and not a funny way, but in a drama way, have to tag team up on this general dude and kill this guy. But for the audience, when we go back to the future, they can look up like what happened to the world after having killed that guy, and he was like Hitler's ancestor or something. So like they basically avoided a lot of the horrors of World War II by killing this guy, because he was going to ruin stuff anyway. Like, so they helped the universe get better, even though their lives got worse and they work at the Quickie Mart and they suck. At least they did
He's
something.
Biff Hitler?
Yeah.
He's Biffler?
Biffler.
Whatever the original Germanic pronunciation of Hitler was, like, oh, this guy, Shitler. This guy Himmler, oh god, he really.
Oh man, he was a real asshole. Okay, so I think we've got this. I think this is a period piece drama where Jennifer and Marty are both royalty, mid-tier royalty. Jennifer gets very sick. Marty goes to kind of the crazy apothecary doctor, tells him about this cave. And that he can get some magical potion to help her. It turns out it's actually a time machine. He gets current day medicine, brings it back to her. She gets better. All of a sudden, they realize that this cave is actually a pathway to multiple futures. They both, let's just say, they run up a tab, both of them. All the while, she is being stalked by Captain of the Army Biffler, and ultimately, they are going to have to stop Biffler from creating an absolute dystopia, and in the end, they sacrifice their lives of royalty, and they are stuck in our present. Guys, we rebooted Back to the Future in 30 minutes as a historical drama. How about that?
A period piece thriller, baby. You never see those. You never see those.
And you even managed to get Huey Lewis in the News in there with the power of block. Like,
I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, and I messed up the lyrics earlier. It's don't take money, don't take fame. I don't need to reason with you. I'll just blow out your brain. I got it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Nice work.
That is incredible. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is a lot of fun. We'll be coming back with more of these episodes. Maybe even we'll bring some friends along with us to join in the fun. Mr. Ed Greer, thank you very much. Mr. Ron Swallow, thank you very much. I am Billy Business. We will be back with more Reboot It Presents Movie Match.